Meeting to order and ask Alfonso to go ahead and go through roll call for us, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully everybody's enjoying this holiday season. First of all, let me start off with Hector Aguilar.
Present.
Thank you, Hector. Carol Belver.
I'm here.
Thank you. Ben Brennan.
I'm here.
Thank you. Debbie Burkhart. Debbie Burkhart. Camille Clay. Camille Clay. Marco Cruz.
Here.
Thank you, Marco. Sandra Dillett. Sandra Dillett.
I'm here.
Thank you. Woody Angerbertson.
Here.
Thank you, Woody. Renee Flores.
Here.
Thank you, Renee. Jenna Von Thomas. Jenna Von Thomas. Becky Garlick. Becky Garlick. Kimberly Good. Kimberly Good. Denise Harlan. Denise Harlan. Tracy Jackson.
I'm here.
Tracy Jackson. Thank you, Tracy.
Uh-huh.
Mike Kammerlander.
Here.
Thank you, Mike. And we have Frank Leonardis present. Jeff Light. Jeff Light. And we have Margaret Lindsay present. Riley Mitchell.
Present.
Cassandra Moya.
Present.
Thank you. Tim Oles. Tim Oles. Even Riggs. Even Riggs.
Present.
Thank you. John Robinson. John Robinson. Alfonso Cifuentes is present. Nikki Stallings.
Present.
Thank you. Scott Staten.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, we'll count Denise Harlan present then. Jennifer Tucker.
Here.
Thank you. Elva Zeb.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have 20 present, more than enough for quorum.
All right, thank you. Next item is to open up for a public comment period. Has anybody joined us for public comment?
Frank, this is Diane. We had a couple people that requested public comment, but I don't see that they've joined the meeting yet. If they do join later, I'll let you know.
Okay, yes, if they come on in, just let me know. I appreciate it. Okay, real quick, I just want to recognize two of our board members that are new to the board, this being their first, I believe, official meeting that they're present at. Denise Harlan, I know she is present. She's from Lee County, representing from the Giddings Chamber of Commerce, and Scott Stanton from Williamson County, representing from TDI. So thank you all for your willingness to join our board and serve, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
First item, next item on our agenda then is for TIP Strategies. Is going to give us a quick presentation on the workforce plans and where we're at on that. So, Caroline, are you going to present that for us today?
I think so. I'm going to try to share. Oh, it says I cannot start screen share. Diane, you need to,
Yep, hold on just 1 second. Oh,
okay.
there you go.
All right. Let me see here. All right. Can you guys see that presentation? All right. So I'm going to speak on behalf of Tom and I today. Joining me, I have Tom Stellman, who is the president and CEO of TIP Strategies. But in the interest of time, I will speak on both of our behalf. So I have a little bit longer presentation here that I was planning to send out to you guys, but I'll hit the high points for this presentation and perhaps leave a little bit of time for question and answer at the end. But I'll introduce the firm, give an overview of the project, go through some of the key findings, talk about the strategic framework and about implementation of the plan. So TIP Strategies was founded in 1995. We work across the country. Tom and his team have been doing workforce development and economic development strategic planning for all of those years and have done quite a few projects here in Texas with the Workforce Solutions Capital Area Master Plan and more recently with North Central Texas Workforce Solutions. And I worked with TIP Strategies for about a dozen years and have now gone out on my own or hung up my own shingle a couple of years ago, but still subcontract back with them to work on projects. So I've been leading this project on behalf of TIP Strategies this year. So just a refresher for everybody, we kicked off this project back in February. Perfect timing, right? Right before the pandemic, I remember the steering committee kickoff, we went through some of the data talking about how we were we were right in the middle of a historically long expansion period. And then all of a sudden March happened and the pandemic taught us how fast you can fall. So we took a pause a little bit in April and May instead of doing our public input right then, just to see how things were going to shake out, and then started back up in June, and here we are in December wrapping things up. But throughout the project, we've taken a little bit of extra time with the stakeholder engagement. In that April-May time period, we were able to send out a stakeholder survey to help identify some of the biggest challenges for employers and job seekers. And then we held a workshop in each of the counties, which I'm thrilled to see a lot of familiar faces of people who attended those county workshops. And out of those county workshops, we identified topics that kind of extended across the region and held some focus groups around those topics. And so all of that input then informed the strategy. And so what we ended up with is an overarching plan for the whole 9-county region and individual plans for each of the counties. We have recommendations on implementation, on performance measurement, a database of potential funding resources, and some appendices that have labor market data that we pulled, the results of the stakeholder survey, and then just lessons from the field and some of the synopsis of all of the input that we collected over the project. So to share some of the key findings, from the stakeholder survey, we had 128 responses. The biggest challenges facing employers across the 9-county region was that number one, there's a shortage of workers with technical or hard skills that we need. Number two, it's about the education system and pushing students towards 4-year degrees. Number three is the employability of the next generation of workers. I put all of those 3 challenges kind of in the category of alignment, the alignment of the education system with employers' needs. And the challenges facing job seekers, we have at number one, housing is very expensive. Number two is the essentially the wages of the jobs. And number three, so there's not enough affordable quality childcare. So I'm checking the chat real fast to make sure there's not anything I need to pay attention to. Anyway, so out of those challenges and the conversations that we had with the different counties, there were some shared challenges and some big structural barriers that emerged. I don't think these are new to any of you guys that have been involved in these conversations before, but it's housing, childcare, transportation, broadband certainly became even more of an issue during the pandemic. You have the economic opportunities related to small businesses and job creation, and then that industry and education alignment piece. And across the system, we saw that there were a lot of great and innovative things that are happening, but there's not currently any formal mechanisms for knowledge sharing. So what somebody in the region is doing in Lee County or Bastrop County is it's hard for folks in Blanco County and Burnett County to learn about those because there's not that formal knowledge sharing. We see that there's vast differences in the capacity of the different counties to implement these strategies, but that there's a huge appetite to tackle those big structural problems, that people just need some more direction and support. And that there's really a need to break down some of the silos and connect the dots. And then there's quite a bit of data that I pulled that's in the appendix, but just to show a few of the data points that really stood out. Retirement exposure in some of the counties is really high. So this is the population that's 16 or over that is 55 years old or older. And you can see, in some of the county, close to 50% or more of the adult population is going to be retiring over the next 10 years. Another data point that stood out was the percent of the working age population without a high school diploma. Generally, we look at the educational attainment of the population as people with a bachelor degree or higher, but we see some of the issues in the 9-county region kind of on the lower end of just getting that high school diploma. And Bastrop, Caldwell, Llano counties all have pretty high percentages of their populations without a high school diploma. And then another thing that we saw was just the percent of high school graduates that are going directly into the workforce as a kind of a missed connection point and related to disconnected youth or opportunity youth. So when we pulled all of the school district data across the region, about 27% of the high school graduates are going directly into the workforce. So these were just a kind of example and some of the key findings that help to inform our strategic framework. So when we thought about what goals we were going to set and how we were going to structure the strategic plans, we went back to the mission and vision of Workforce Solutions and really pulled out two key elements, which is the aspect of the system being employer driven and the goal of self-sufficient employment. And then combining that with the structural barriers and shared challenges that emerged, we created this strategic framework. So the first goal is to collaborate on solutions for structural barriers. It's strengthening the awareness of structural barriers and encouraging more collaboration to address these large-scale workforce-related challenges. The second goal is to enhance the employer-led and demand-driven system by infusing industry input and engagement throughout the workforce system to strengthen feedback loops between employers, education and training providers, and job seekers. And the third goal is to create pathways to self-sufficient employment and career advancement by establishing and strengthening well-defined pathways to help guide job seekers into high-demand career opportunities that provide family-supporting wages and opportunities for advancement. So those are the three goals that we structured the regional strategy around. And then we structured each of the individual county plans around those so that all of them would be aligned. And I know that Gina sent the plan out on Friday, but in case anybody didn't get a chance to read all of the details of that plan, I wanted to provide a little Cliff Notes version for you this afternoon. So under the first goal about the structural barriers and shared challenges, one of the proposals is to create kind of a network of what we're calling Community Matters coalitions, which thanks to Sandy, who's in attendance today, who had that idea for that name, and it's really drawing from the success of the Bastrop County Cares model, which has really played a pivotal role in addressing some of these big challenges. So Workforce Solutions would be playing a role of capacity building, educating, helping with share knowledge and make connections to empower each of the different counties to address these big challenges. Around goal 2, you guys are doing a lot of this already, but it's really about enhancing and expanding some of the things that you're already doing. So refining your labor market information, including the career lattices, expanding and strengthening your partnerships with industry via business organizations, and enhancing and expanding the employer engagement mechanisms with additional tools. For example, an inventory of the different volunteer opportunities for businesses to engage with education and training providers, maintaining a database of employers who want to be engaged to help make those connections with education and training providers. And then around goal 3, about the pathways to self-sufficient employment and career advancement, the idea is to really coordinate career activities and connection opportunities with stronger collaboration with community partners and providing toolkits and opportunities for knowledge sharing. Also ensuring that the training in the region is for the right skills through this enhanced employer engagement. And finally, to encourage career advancement and the creation of better economic opportunity through workforce solutions, job seeker and employer services, through stronger community partnerships with economic development organizations and chambers of commerces and cities and counties, and to really be an active supporter of the organizations that are involved in economic development and small business development to enhance that job creation and the creation of better economic opportunities in the region. So that is a very abridged version of the Cliff Notes, but you have all of the details there in front of you. So that was the Cliff Notes of the regional plan. For each of the different counties, we took the survey, the information from the workshops and focus groups and data analysis to create a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. We have goals that are aligned with the regional plan with some common strategies that are shared across the different counties, but that we took a lot of time to tailor the strategies based on the stakeholder input and existing initiatives in the county and individual assets in each of the counties, so that each of the 9 counties has its own individual plan that's, about 2 or 3 pages, depending on the county. And for implementation, since you guys had just gone through the process of creating your new committees, we recommend utilizing that current committee structure and folding in the different pieces of the strategic plan within that. So I have here, well, in the plan, a proposal of the different activities the committees can do. And that, that measuring progress and impact is very important. But we were not able to have a specific goal with that in light of all the uncertainty that is happening right now. The labor market information is disrupted in March with the pandemic, and just not having some of the baseline information part of the system that we'll be developing, or that we are developing, to measure progress and performance is really to establish that baseline so you can track activity to show where Workforce Solutions has been and adjust the course as necessary. And we'll be using internal data sources and adding a little bit more granularity to some of those data sources and to TWC's contracted measures, and then aligning with some of the external initiatives and data sources that are available through the Higher Education Coordinating Board and TEA, and also aligning with the 60 by 30 plan. So with that, hopefully didn't take too much time, but I will pause and answer any questions that anybody has, to the extent that there's still time available.
All right, thanks, Caroline. Does anybody have any questions for Caroline?
Margaret, did you want to ask your question?
No.
Okay.
Not a lot of what we know.
Okay.
Well, I think if any board member has any specific concerns about any part of the plan, specifically, in the counties that you're from, did we miss something in that county? Is there something that you feel like should have been included? Let us know, because we want to make sure we get that, get it in the plan and get it right. So just let us know. We'll be happy to edit and make any additions as we go forward.
Definitely. Yeah, and there's definitely time to add anything into the county plans if there's additional details. But as far as next steps, I believe we'll roll this out to the public in January.
Okay. Yeah, and for everybody, in case you hadn't looked at it, it's the full plan draft is in your board packet that was emailed out. So you can take a look through that, specifically, the plan relating to your county.
And just to add to that, I've already started forming a list of people to immediately invite into our coalitions for each county. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. There's likely I will forget someone because I'm human. And we definitely aren't intentionally leaving anyone out. So just let me know and I will add them to our list.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Well,
Caroline.
I'll turn the screen share back over to Diane.
All right, next item on our agenda is information sharing from Brian. He's got a testimonial that he's going to share with us.
Yes, sir. Hi, Frank, and hello, everyone. Yeah, so what we wanted to do, as we mentioned in the last board meeting, is we want to kind of lead off as much as we can with some feedback directly from our customers, actually having them speak to you and sharing their insights, their experiences, but more importantly, what they pulled away from it and what they're recommending to other people about how to best utilize our services. So we actually have 3 testimonials, very brief ones to share with you. One is from an employer. One is from a customer that went through our WSRCA orientation, which is basically the reemployment services and eligibility assessment. So basically that person had a barrier that we helped work through to get them successful. And then also a customer that went through just the WIOA program to upskill into a career that they would normally not have pursued had they not reached out to us and tapped into this opportunity. So Diane, if you want to go ahead and share that, we'll go ahead and roll those.
Hi everyone, I'm Nate Duke, the HR director for Kalahari here in Round Rock, and just wanted to say we missed you. We just took a tour, had a great time, and look forward to the time that you guys come out and visit. It's been a pretty amazing partnership that we've had with our Texas workforce friends to hire over 1,400 people during the pandemic and pull it off. I think is something pretty incredible that we've done, and so to be the second largest employer in this town, I've just been really appreciative of you all, and I know the feeling's mutual, and I just look forward to us working together for a long time to come.
everyone. My name is Harris Shandhout. For some time, like way too many other Americans, I was unemployed earlier this year. Of course, things were very, very difficult. However, in this storm of being out of work and the pandemic, I've found a few rays of sunshine, namely Rachel White and Ashley Davis. Both of these ladies were sending me regular communications to a group of other unemployed people like me in the area. There were some times I had some questions, I had some concerns, and both of them responded quickly, professionally, and I really felt like I was getting individual attention, which, considering the dramatic volume of unemployed people your office was dealing with, I was very, very positively impacted by that. All the questions they asked me, I was able to get the answers to and be able to take care of my situations as they arose. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate all your office's work as well as Ashley and Rachel. Thank you.
My name is Medhad Omar. I live in Austin, Texas. And I had a great experience with Workforce Solution. First of all, I did find Workforce Solution on a time that I really, really needed help in my life to save my family and myself. So right after we got the COVID-19, on March 15, I stopped. I was doing Uber, by the way. And I was not even happy with what I'm making from Uber. I was working very hard. Whatever I made from Uber, it did, it covered a roof over my family. So when the COVID-19 hit, definitely, I stopped working. So I stopped working and then I started getting unemployment. And unemployment, it dropped down, which is, I didn't know how to really make extra money. Most of the places are closed. So I did my research around and I found a Workforce Solution. I applied Workforce Solution. They did give me an, what do you call it? Miss Marla. She was my work officer. And I had a great experience with Miss Marla. She did the best. I did not know that I can make it happen, to be honest. But they made everything so easy. And I was very honest, which I do not have any job, to make an income from. So I started building the relationship with Marla, and I told her everything, and she got me all the applications, everything. She said, okay, Mr. Homer, you are approved. I found the CDL at the time. That's where the only thing that it's out there that you can make money out of. So Ms. Marla asked me what I would like to do. I said I would like to have a certification of CDL. And she said, okay, and you are pre-approved, and you can go ahead and take classes, and we will pay for it. And I put a big smile on my face. I was like, really? Because, you're talking about $4,500, $4,600. At the time, I don't have it. I don't have not even $300 saved. So she made it very easy for me. Thanks for Ms. Marla. She was following up with me, and I started my classes. Right before I start my class, I told Miss Marla one thing. I said, with all the help that you and Workforce Solution did give me, I was never gonna let you guys down. So she was very happy, she was very excited, and she said, okay, I wish you all the good luck and keep me updated. So I did. I did completed the course with 98%. All of my tests. I graduated, and I started applying for companies, and every company they want, everyone they needed to come and work for them. So I did start working, and I'm making very great money, you know, and the experience that I have actually with Marla, especially Marla. I mean, me, family, and friends, we're always praying for her and her family. That she was a very positive lady. She calls me, she checks on me, you know, how I'm doing, how's the classes going, and it's just a great experience that I don't think I can get it from anywhere. Even if I paid the money out of my own pocket, I would not get the attentions that Marla or Workforce Solution get. And I appreciate Workforce Solution and Miss Marla also. She did help me. I graduated. She helped another friend of mine. Also, he needed the work. He needed the support. She also helped him out. And Workforce Solution take care of. I mean, they got him taken care of and paid for everything. And you know, he graduated, and he also worked with me at the same company. Then another two friends, also they needed the help. And Miss Marla, I just keep, you know, giving Miss Marla some people that if she can help, which she did help all of them, and everybody's speaking very highly of her. I think Miss Marla, she does work for Workforce Solution, but she's a very proactive lady. You know, she's in the top of her game. I know that she's married. She's got a family. Strong lady. She kept up with her family household and her job also during the COVID-19. So right now I'm here. I'm working. And I hope actually Miss Marla, she see me working. I'm driving the 18-wheeler. I'm making a great money and saving the family. You know, my family also, they're happy. And I wish everybody that needed help, that he can qualify, or anybody that can be qualified through the Workforce Solution. It's not only a CDL certification. They have a lot. I mean, you can be a nurse, you can be an engineering, you can be a teacher, you can be anything. And Workforce Solution, actually, they will help. And they were always there. From my understanding, from my experience, and I'm speaking from an experience. So from nothing, here we go, I'm right here. And thank you again for Workforce Solution. Thank you for Miss Marla. Until I die, I will always appreciate her. And thank you very much.
Great. Well, I hope you feel that these testimonials, as we continue to listen to them and watch them, really demonstrate, proof of performance for our workforce development system. And the one standout achievement that we are recognizing on a regular basis through every customer testimonial we're collecting is that personal touch, is that there's intention in the staff that we have, and that is filtered down from you, from our leadership. Your investments in our community help empower our team, and our team is empowering the workforce and the employers of our region. So thank you so much for all of your investments. Thank you so much for all of your commitment. And I'll continue to collect more of these testimonials and share them with you as we move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brian. We sure appreciate hearing those things. You know, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes that, you know, we don't get to directly see here at the board level. So it's pretty amazing to hear those stories. So thank you.
That's a great testimonial.
All right, next item on the agenda is to get an approval for our consent agenda. So that's there in your board packet. It includes adoption of the October 21st meeting minutes and the continuation of our COVID-19 policy. So I'd like to see if I can entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Margaret. And a second?
A second.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, with a motion and a second, any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, through the poll, I believe Diane has up there. If you could vote for approval, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
Right, and again on the poll that she has on the screen, if you can participate in that if you're online. Any here opposed? All right. Diane, just let me know when that.
Yeah, I think we've got everybody has completed it. We've got 17 out of 17 for approval.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries. Do I need to move up on Capra's consent direction? She's right. Okay, all right. Next item on our agenda is executive committee chair report for myself. So haven't had a whole lot going on over the last 2 months. In our executive committee meeting, we did have tip strategies give us an overview of that plan that they just reviewed with you. You know, it was a little more detailed, but again, the whole plan is there in your board packet. And we had consideration and approval of 2 slight changes, one to our personnel policy and one to our CEO contract with Paul. So that's about all that was happening at the executive committee level. For myself as a board chair, I've continued to try to attend each of the committee meetings. I'm not always able to make it to all of them, but I have tried to make those committee meetings, and I just appreciate all of y'all's work you're doing inside of the committees and your participation in those. I think we're going to have some new tasks, I believe, coming out of the strategic plan that will trickle down into those committees. So look forward to working on that next year. Anybody have any questions for me? All right, next agenda item is a review of the Business and Education Services Committee. I think, Debbie, are you going to present that?
Yes, I will. So I'll just give a brief overview of our meeting. We discussed different avenues of reaching people. It's really difficult. We have Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and Twitter. And so, and also radio, which sounds like a really important area that we need to look at. So we're looking at that, trying to find which audience listens to what. And I think it was good in that we had so many ideas that came up about advertising and promotion, and just listening to the gentleman that spoke earlier in the testimonial. Word of mouth sounds like a really, really big opportunity for us, you know, to have someone that has been through the program. So I think that's good. We also have flyers that have been printed, and those are being handed out. They're handed out to ministerial alliances, food banks, that type of thing. But we're also looking at organizations that can benefit best from us. So it's a busy time for us trying to capture these people that are unemployed or underemployed. And I think this team is just working great at finding better ways to service the community.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Does anybody have any questions for Debbie or that regarding that committee? Okay. The next item on our agenda is a Community Awareness Committee report. I believe Hector is going to present that report.
That is correct.
Thanks, Hector.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do a brief one also like Debbie. And kind of funny that some of the things that we're going over are very similar to what Debbie talked about. It's about the messaging, getting the message out to the community. We've talked about how Workforce Solutions Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area has a lot of great programs and partners. And how do we get the message out? We met and had 6 of our committee members, and we talked. This last time we focused on youth, and we had Chris Caballero. Chris Caballero works for Workforce Solutions, and she focuses on youth. And she presented to us on all of the programs and activities that she and her team have been involved in. And she talked about the different programs that and student eligibility requirements and student opportunities that exist. Like, for example, students that have been justice involved, that have a disability, pregnant or parenting, homeless, foster youth, school dropouts. They help all of them, people that, and they go up to 26 years of age. So people that either are not working or not in school, they would be eligible. They would be eligible for training. They would be eligible for obviously for job, for helping them find a job. And they talked about the different outreach events that they've been involved in, like in 2020. They've been involved in about 47 events or presentations. They've had 644 out of school youth exposure. So they've been doing quite a bit. And I've witnessed it. I've seen her go to evening events where programs are being offered at 8, 9 at night in the winter. And they do this consistently. So they've done a really good job. So basically what they did is presented to us about all of those opportunities. Camille Clay is our chair. She's fabulous job she's doing. She also talked about other ways that we can outreach, not just youth, but obviously adults, and how challenging that is. She talked about creating videos. She talked about partnering with other organizations that have their own outreach so that we multiply our efforts. She mentioned ACC and other organizations. We also, Dennis Harland joined the board. He represents Lee County and also is executive director of the Giddings Area Chamber of Commerce. And unfortunately, Felix Munson retired. He retired our board. He's the owner. He was representing Williamson County. He's the owner, president of Anchor Ventana Glass. We talked a little bit about the results of the outreach strategy to promote the Hiring Red, White, and Youth Statewide Veterans virtual hiring event that happened back on November 5th. We have a landing page, warriorwelcome.com. And then also we had Brian Hernandez, fabulous Brian Hernandez is our chief storyteller. And he talked about, he mentioned how the business education is also doing, they're trying to find ways to do more outreach and how the same thing, how to partner up with other entities so that we multiply our efforts. Again, we talked about maybe our biggest challenge right now is how do we get the message out? How can we get people out there in the different communities to know that we exist, the services that we offer, and take advantage of them. And then let's see, and that's it. Our next meeting is January 20th. And I'm sure I skipped a couple of things, but again, the main message here, what we're working on is how, create the messages and how do we get the messages out into the different communities so that people take advantage of what Workforce Solutions RuleCap offers. And that's probably one of our biggest, maybe our most important challenge at this point. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Hector. Anybody have any questions for that committee? All right. Next item on our agenda is the Governance and Finance Committee report. I think Renee's going to present that to us.
I am. Good afternoon. Just if you're following along on your own computers, in the packet, the financial statements are found beginning page 85 through 89. And I'll just really speak about page 85, which is the overall, kind of encompasses the overall numbers in total. Really what you're seeing before you is really representative of 1 month expenses as we start the new month in October for our fiscal year. All things being considered, expenses are in line. In fact, if anything, they're perhaps a little light on some of the services because expenses were a little light with regards to some of the expenses in the centers because of the COVID lockdowns and the closures. And then I think there's been a little perhaps higher than wanted turnover in some of the child care. But by and large, we're tracking about 6.58%, I think, year to date expenses to budget. The only other thing probably worth mentioning is that in the future, you will see an amended budget coming forward, probably up top, very top left at $30.6 million. That number will change. It'll be increased slightly. And I think that's with some of the extra monies that we're getting around from the, I guess some of the COVID funding, extra money going out. But beyond that, I think everything is in line. And certainly if you ever have any board member ever has any particular questions, any detailed questions, you're welcome to reach out to, well, really to Janie, because if you send it to me, I'm going to send it to Janie. But you know, she has all the detail, and we're happy to get those answered for you. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
Thanks, Renee. Anybody have any questions for that committee? All right, very good. Next item on our agenda is the Untapped Population Committee report. I believe Diane is going to present that report for us.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I've been on mute for a while. So we met at kind of the beginning of November, and we started out with an update on all the service delivery that we had during COVID-19, all the changes and updates to our procedures that had occurred and how that affected how we are reaching out to different underrepresented populations. We also talked about how we were going to reconvene the Tri-Agency Leadership Committee, which helps bring together adult education, vocational rehabilitation, and us to provide a no wrong door approach and seamless transition of services between the 3 different service providers. And then we talked about the development of a youth advisory council, which is going to help inform some of the countywide strategic plans, but also help inform the ongoing work that we do with underrepresented and opportunity youth in all of our 9 counties, with the idea that this advisory council will, if not necessarily be youth-led, it will absolutely be youth-informed, which means we will have young adults participating actively on the council to provide feedback on what's happening in each of the counties and where the gaps are and how we can better deliver services. And then finally, you know, we talked about some initiatives for 2021, but we really spent the majority of the time in the meeting really talking about the business perspective on employing underrepresented populations and where some of the disconnect may be between preparing an individual to be skills focused and to talk about what they bring to the position and how we can get those individuals in front of the hiring managers. We identified that there might have been some structural things that were in place, such as going through staffing agencies or things like that. We also identified that there are some very tangible things that we could do to increase awareness and increase, kind of the ability of hiring managers to be able to be connected one-on-one with either individuals with disabilities or individuals with high skills that have had a more difficult time finding employment. So we've got some takeaways from that we're going to work with our contractors on. We also decided that we're going to look a little bit further into the Texas Hireability Recognition Program for employers and really kind of dive into what that would look like for our 9-county area and who might be eligible to be recognized and who we might be able to support for further nomination to be recognized as a Texas hireability employer. And then we identified that our next meeting will start or will convene on January 11th, and that's where we left it.
All right, thanks, Diane. Anybody have any questions for that committee? All right, thank y'all. Next item on our agenda is a CEO report from Paul.
Thanks, Frank. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to give you a little update on what's going on in our workforce centers. So back in the summer, we started seeing customers via curbside appointment, started that in July. And then we started seeing customers by appointment in the workforce centers in August. As of now, we have brought almost 100% of our workforce contractor staff and state staff are back in the offices seeing customers still by appointment and virtually. We're still seeing a lot of customers. We see more customers online than we do in person. And we have the ability for customers to schedule those appointments. We're still not maxed out on the appointments that we could be scheduling. So we're still serving more customers online than we are in person. But we really have most of our staff back in the workforce centers ready to serve those customers when the time is right and when they start coming back in. I really anticipate we're going to see a pretty big increase in January in the number of in-person visits that we have. We always have a pretty good bump in numbers in January. People make a resolution, over the holidays that they're going to, change jobs and get a better job, get a job. And we always see an increase there. And I think with the current round of COVID payments and things that are ending on December 26th, I think that's going to prompt some people that may not have taken advantage of our services to this point to come see us. But that continues, and the staff are doing a great job handling that, dealing with making sure everybody's staying safe. To date, we have not, knock on wood, we have not had any exposures happen in any of our workforce centers or with our child care office. We have had a few staff that were exposed to COVID outside of work, but with precautions that were in place, that was not passed on to any coworkers. So we were very fortunate there, but I think applaud the staff and their managers for taking care of each other, taking care of their employees, and making sure the proper precautions were in place so that we didn't have any tragic things happen during that period. We're paying attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C. With the election that happened back in November, December, whenever it ended, it looks like we're going to have a change in administration. So we want to see, who's going to be the Secretary of Labor, who's going to be Health and Human Services Secretary, as that's where most of our funding comes from. So we want to pay attention to that. Don't see anything horrific on the horizon. I think things are looking pretty good for workforce right now. I think we got a lot of visibility through this whole crisis on what workforce is and what does it do, and I think we came out of that looking pretty good as a system. People know about workforce that never ever talked about workforce before, and we want to maintain that. We want to keep it going. Brian's doing an excellent job helping tell that story and putting information out there about what it is that we do and how things work, and kind of help marketing who we are, even though we're not supposed to do marketing. Talked about DC, but we've got the state legislative session is going to start in January. So working with Tom, Texas Association of Workforce Boards, and our other board partners. We're trying to keep our ear to the ground of what the legislative session is going to look like. Help and support TWC, who will provide most of the testimony to the legislators when they ask questions about what it is we're doing. How do we support and justify the funds that we're currently getting? Most of my peers think it's a pipe dream to think that there's going to be any additional state funding this year for anything, as the budget deficit looks pretty large, and they're more concerned about how to make that whole than to start funding anything additional. But I guess we'll see what happens in early January. For childcare, as we went through this crisis, staff and our childcare contractor Diane and other staff on the board staff have worked very hard to make sure that we kept our program in line with the rules that were changing. We have 10 amendments to our contract with TWC for childcare this year. Normally we have 1 or 2. We had 10 this year. We may not be done yet. Things just keep changing. They add money, they take money away, they change the rules. But staff have done a great job, and our contractors done a great job just keeping up with those changes, kind of rolling with the punches, changing our message to parents and to childcare providers about how things are going to work. But I think we've come through that pretty well. That very well could be something that is looked at by the legislature this year, whether or not childcare should continue under the Workforce Commission, or should it be administered by a different organization. We are optimistic that we've done a really good job through this, and that we want to make sure that stays with the Workforce Commission and with the workforce boards. We feel like it's a really integral part of workforce development. We want to make sure it stays with us. We had a couple of opportunities to apply for some additional funding. We've talked about these things in the past, and we felt like we were pretty strapped for time, but we thought if we didn't apply for these things, then when would we ever do it? So we had an opportunity to apply jointly with the Capital Area Board and with Austin Community College for a HB1 grant through the Department of Labor. This one focused specifically on IT and advanced manufacturing. I believe the total amount applied for in that grant was about $5.5 million. We would be a participant on that with Capital Area. I think our involvement was about right around $1.2 million, I think, as part of that grant. Then we applied for our own HB1 grant for a different DOL grant. That one was for rural healthcare. That ended up being about $1.5 million. We should hear back on both of those grant opportunities in mid-January, and hopefully, or whenever they let us know that we won both of those, we'll just be optimistic. We will get started with those things and have more to report about that. We've had several news stories in the last months regarding our work with employers and job seekers and about childcare. I mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of visibility during COVID, and we want to maintain that visibility. And Tesla coming to the Austin area has been a huge boon for manufacturing and creating an interest in manufacturing. Not that everybody in manufacturing is going to go to work at Tesla, but I think it creates an attractiveness around manufacturing that middle school kids and high school kids can pick up on and get an interest in and find out, well, I can go to work with Frank in San Marcos doing manufacturing. I don't have to go all the way to Tesla in Austin. So that's been a big thing. I actually drove by the plant at right off 130 last Friday. I was coming back from Bastrop, and the place is just huge. It's amazing. Just seeing it from 130, seeing all the dirt work being done. It's very large and very. It's just exciting to see it happening. It's going to be a big thing for us. I do want to close out with just a couple of things. We're working on a new board member orientation and offering that on a regular basis. I think it would be beneficial for board members that are either new or have maybe been here for a while and never got a good orientation to what we're doing. I think the last time we really did a good job with that was last February when we did our board retreat. but we're gonna start offering that early next year. We'll probably have it offered in the months when we don't have a board meeting, but that'll be open to anyone that wants. And I wanna take just a minute to thank all the board members, all of the board staff, and all of our contractor staff for the fantastic work that has been done, you know, since last March, when we, you know, we had to really revamp what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think staff have been nothing but flexible and willing to do whatever was asked. Just very appreciative of all the effort that went into making this work, and helping everybody in our communities that we needed to help. So that was our job, so we needed to do, and I think we did a fantastic job doing it. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Paul. Does anybody have any questions for Paul? All right. Next item on our agenda is performance reports. I believe our first is going to be relating to childcare from Sandy Anderson. On Sandy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Want to start by wishing everyone a happy holidays, and let us all look forward to a very new NEW capitalized, italics, bolded 2021. So for today's report, and thank you, Diane, for managing the slides. So our children in care remains fairly steady. We are currently enrolling, so pulling children from the wait list, and will be enrolling through December of 2020. Starting in January of 2021, we'll be enrolling to maintain our numbers, but we are excited that we had the opportunity to pull children from the wait list. And right now we are working with children and families that have through December of 2019. We do have a little bit into January of 2020. The 2021 funds, of course, we only have there through November, so not all of November is in there, but we're starting fiscal year 2021 for just our income eligible and choices families of slightly over $14 million. This does not include the funds for child protective services that we also administer. For our child care providers, we are also remaining steady, but we are excited to see and welcome 8 additional providers through a Texas Rising Star, which is, as you all may know, the voluntary quality rating system in Texas. This reporting is through November of 2020, where we had 78, but as of today, and just in the first few weeks of December, we have welcomed another 5 additional Texas Rising Star providers. We are at a total of 83. Our 5-year plan, 5 years ago, if we can imagine that, so ending this fiscal year, FY 2021, was to be at 90 Texas Rising Star providers. I believe that we will meet that 90 Texas Rising Star provider by the end of fiscal year 2021. So moving on, our children on the wait list, as I mentioned, we have pulled through January 2020. And we'll continue to, of course, accept applications, and hopefully we'll be able to pull children from the waiting list families in order to maintain our numbers throughout the year. As for the performance for fiscal year 2021, our target is 2,265, and for October and November, it will take us a couple months to get to target due to several factors associated with not being able to enroll in from fiscal year 2020, as well as it was very tight, as there were additional monies spent to help our providers have greater financial stability and to help our parents continue in with their 12 months of certification. So we will be, however, at target with our December 2020 numbers. And while not on a slide, but to just also share that last month in November, we also had our winter break, which is what we called it, our winter break health and safety supply distribution to our child care providers, again, both in Cedar Park and in San Marcos. And kind of a, it's around 40, maybe $46,000 that for this. But this is our 7th one to do this during this pandemic. Yet a long-term impact of that is that in talking to our providers, one provider actually said to me that right now we would expect to have just the normal routine childhood illnesses. And this was just last month, so just a couple of weeks ago. She stated that she has not had one child ill since March of 2020. So all the additional health and safety precautions, as well as not having, our parents are experiencing what I call valet service. So they drive up, they drop the children off, we come out and get them, they drive up, we take the children out to their car. So also not having all the different individuals into the child care center is helping our children stay safe and healthy, not just from COVID, but also from just the everyday illnesses. So it's a very, very good thing. And that's childcare for this month. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. If not, again, I certainly wish you all a very happy holidays.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Somebody have any questions for Sandy? All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a Workforce Center Management Report from Mike.
Thanks, Frank. How is everybody doing today? It's good to see and hear everybody. I'm excited about the numbers that we have on the board. We're all green, much different from our last report that we had. This is at the end of September, which is the end of our contract year. And with the information that was provided from TWC, it came through that we met and exceeded most of our measures. So we're very excited about that. So I love the colors of green on the screen that we have right now. I'm also excited to say that on our next slide, you can see that I've kind of got it arrowed out there that it shows that we are 100%. We have a few other boards that are at where we are. So we're excited that we're in that population of being at 100% through our workforce centers throughout and the child care as well throughout the area. So I appreciate everything that our staff does. Our morale is still up. We're 100% staffed right now in the workforce centers in all of our offices. Equus is supporting us 100%, and we're excited that we're able to do and see some of the testimonies, especially during the COVID time, that we've been able to work with customers on. So I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays as well. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, thanks, Mike. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is board announcements. Diane, do you know if anybody submitted anything relating to board announcements?
Hey, Frank, we have not gotten any specific announcements.
Okay. All right. I guess this is a time to check too with you, Diane. Thanks for running the meeting there on the online as you have been. I appreciate that. Is there anything in the chat that we need to address, or is that all good?
No, I think we're all good. There were some comments during the customer testimonials that talked about the great stories and the compassion that staff showed, but that was about it.
Okay, very good. Any other new business? Next item there on our agenda, any new business? Okay. Before we move on, I'd like to take a moment as well. I think Paul must have been reading my notes and made his own. You know, a lot changed since our board retreat that we had in February. I wouldn't say that everything we did there got thrown out the window, but I think a lot of it did. When things changed dramatically related to COVID in March. So, you know, board members, I appreciate your commitment throughout the year, your leadership you provided in your community and to the board. So I want to take the chance to thank you guys. The board staff, I don't know who all's on. I know Kara's in here with us, Eric, of course, Paul, Diane, I know you're on there. For Brian, not sure if any other board staff are on, but you know, I certainly appreciate all the flexibility you've shown throughout the year. Like, you know, again, I think we all were starting out the year with big plans and everybody kind of had to shift gears and change directions about 6 times, and certainly appreciate what everybody did. You know, I think the commissioners have, you know, given us many accolades throughout the year. They've commented to me on, when I see them, on the great things that they're seeing happen in a rural capital. So your hard work is certainly appreciated and recognized. So thank y'all. And as well, Sandy and Mike, thank you for your teams. I know I took the opportunity in this meeting last year to recognize any of your team that were that came to our meeting. That was important for me to do. I apologize that we couldn't do that this year. I know you guys, both Sandy and Mike, your teams do so much behind the scenes that we never get to see. You know, that's evident in those testimonials that Brian shares with us. So, and again, the flexibility and, you know, making the adjustments necessary to serve the people that we serve throughout the year has been tremendous. So we certainly appreciate everything your teams have done. Next item on our agenda is to consider date and time for our next regular board meeting. February 17th. I didn't even look at a calendar. Okay, thanks, Paul. February 17th, will be I believe the third Wednesday there in February, which will be our next meeting. I keep saying in many of these meetings, we will probably always have this virtual component, but hopefully, if not by then, by our April meeting, we'll get some guidance that we can allow a little bit larger meetings and be able to see everybody in person. But so we'll have that scheduled, and information on that will come out. I asked Gina last year to send out the whole year's meeting announcements all at once, so it hit everybody's calendar, not just one at a time. Can we have her do that again? Sure. That way all the meetings for the 2021 calendar year will get onto our schedule. So I appreciate that. All right, anything else?
I want to say something real quick. Just want to say thank you, Frank, for stepping in as a chair and definitely just carried this board, done great work, and we appreciate all that you've done for this board, Frank.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, well, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year if I don't get to talk to you between now and then, and we'll pick it back up in January and then our board meeting in February. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Very good. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
I'm very convincing.
Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.